Good.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Buster, you going to start one?
All right, we're up.
I make a motion that we come out of executive session.
No action taken.
Second.
Motion come out of executive session by Mr. Wilcox. So no action was taken. Second by Mr. Bishop. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
If I can get you to please add to the agenda authorization to increase just compensation to Nicholas Preacher on the Star Road Bridge project in the amount of $2,500.
Motion add.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Wilcox to add this to the agenda. Second by Mr. Bishop. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Now we need a motion to authorize the increase in just compensation to Nicholas Preacher from $2,121.04 to $4,621.04. This is on the Star Road Bridge project.
Make a motion that we approve this.
Second.
Motion approved, Mr. Wilcox. Second, Mr. Keith. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. Now, I believe we will, to have a motion to recess.
Now, I want to ask a question before we do that.
Okay.
With the new board taking over, is the new board going to be obligated to contracts that this board entered into?
Only certain contracts.
AMR.
Yes, sir. They absolutely are.
Okay.
They're obligated?
Yes, sir. Ambulance service, waste management contracts are gonna have specific statutory exceptions from the general rule
Okay.
that a board cannot bind a successor board. There are limitations in that, and certain contracts will meet that statutory requirement and will survive the placement of the new board, the seating of the new
And
board.
that's one of them. All right.
Yes.
Okay. Anything else?
Well, I'd like for us to start doing our collections again. You know, we were supposed to revisit this back in November, or we did in November. We're supposed to do it in January, then
And what's that?
start collecting, you know, turn it over to a collection agency, all of our bad debts. And tax assessors or collectors and justice court.
Yeah, because we just discussed that, didn't we? We didn't,
Yeah.
we never took action.
We never did anything because John Shirley was
As far as
against
I
it.
know, the Justice Court debts have been on standstill for approaching
2 years
2
now?
years now.
Well, why can't we
No
move,
one's
why
making
could we
any-
not move forward on that?
We can, if you guys remember,
Yes.
we took proposals, we had a number of proposals, probably three, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Three or four.
it was.
One of the proposers who actually came was a Texas corporation, if y'all recall.
All right.
I think there were just some misgivings about moving in that direction with an out-of-state collector like that. There was more interest at that time, as I understood it, in someone local who could do that. The issue at the time was that the current collector who's working with the tax collector, my understanding is she's very happy with them, and the proposer that was interested in the justice court wanted to do all of it and not just the justice court. So rather than try to address those issues, I think the board was satisfied just to sort of let it ride.
Well, I don't see why.
Well, and John Shirley came down and he was
Right.
opposed to it. And,
Yeah, that's what kind of got the,
yeah.
Right.
Well,
Mix
I
up.
think Judge Shirley was looking out for the constables, and he wanted the constables to have an opportunity to do it. And our board, what I recall, you guys were just not comfortable with that
Well, they're not doing it.
process.
Well, you know, I think we can. I'd like to give the local guy an opportunity to do it and do it all, provided he can do it at a cost no more than what we're currently doing or paying at the best possible cost we can get.
Well-
And also, I think he will agree to allow the constables up to a year even to collect the debt, because after a period of time, they get a higher percentage if they collect a debt, rather than their standard $35. They actually get a percentage.
Right, they have a statutory
Yeah,
provision.
what
in place.
year, how long is that? The period before
The
they can,
statute says that they can't be turned over to collection, and I believe that applies also to the constables, until they are at least 90 days old.
okay. So after 90 days, then the constables could collect it and get a higher percentage. And I think Gene Newman is willing to allow them additional time, even 6 months, you know,
Ample time to
for them
collect.
to even collect some of it.
Jake, I want to just throw this out for consideration.
All right.
I don't believe that this would be one of those contracts that could necessarily survive a board turnover.
No.
Yeah,
So
Okay.
keep that in mind.
Right.
That, what our.
That probably wouldn't be a binding, is that what you're saying? Probably would not be a binding to the new
No.
board.
Exactly.
Right.
Well, what about, why couldn't you look at it if tax collector didn't want to change and just doing what else we have? Why do we have to do it all?
rather keep from confusion now.
Well,
Basically.
they just handle theirs and we handle, I mean, what,
Where's the confusion?
yeah.
Well, I don't know if somebody be wanting to just get a piece of it either, just justice
How big a
court.
piece is it though? I mean, is
Well,
that
the
the biggest
easy
piece?
money is obviously over there,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, how,
I tend to
okay,
agree with Jay's assessment there. Just getting the justice court is probably not enough to incentivize somebody to put the time, effort, and energy into getting that ramped up.
And he was willing to try to collect our garbage too, which we have no mechanism for them to collect it, like there's no teeth there. But he said he would be willing to try to collect it
And when
too.
Gene talked to me, he didn't mention anything but justice.
How much,
mention
what,
what?
do we know
Anything but
about
justice.
what kind of price
Oh, really?
tag we're looking on at Justice right now in the rears at
No
all?
idea.
she collected, what'd she tell us, she collected how much last year?
I'm talking about Justice.
Oh, no, I mean,
Your
okay.
question is how much is outstanding?
Right, how much is outstanding right
No
now?
idea.
no.
I mean, if it's a huge amount, it may
It
be,
could be significant.
yeah. I mean, there's no
I
time,
would
if
not
we
be
don't know.
surprised if it's more than $1 million outstanding,
To me, I
And
think
what?
that's pretty good.
Justice Court.
To me, I
That's what
think
I
that's
heard.
pretty good chicken change.
Knocking
That's-
on that door.
I wouldn't be surprised at all to know that to learn that it was that high. Don't forget too, that Judge Shirley has been pretty vocal about not having a private collector. And he's just, he's tried to explain what his misgivings are. I don't
quite
see
understand them.
it the same way he does. I don't appreciate.
I
the
think he's
distinctions.
coming around.
Well, I think now would be the optimal time to address it.
Right.
Exactly. Well, not only that is if you get, there's money sitting out there on the table that's not being collected, we
He's
need
ready.
to,
And Judge Shirley shut down private collection completely. He
Right.
said, you're not to send any files, there's not to be any collection activity. No justice court judge is going to hold anybody in contempt for failing to pay anything. I mean, he was very clear, we're done with this. And, he raised issues about the collection letter
Yeah,
indicating
The letter.
references to certain criminal acts and the potential of jail time, and he had a real issue with that and didn't like the letter. We tried to soften that by having a different letter proposed. I believe as a part of our RFP, we asked him to send example letters. That was provided to him. He still wasn't happy at that time. So if he's changed his mind, I wasn't aware of it.
You know, that last day he was in here, got to finally broke through that he's not gonna be happy with anything we do. So there was no wording he was gonna go along with, I think, so I'm ready just to move forward. And if he wants to write off, charges he's assessed people, then that's on him.
yeah.
I don't think he is.
Well, are we letting the constables collect it currently?
Sir,
Are we allowing the constables to
believe so.
collect it currently?
I don't think so.
Oh, yeah. Well, they can still,
They can still
they're
collect. it.
they're
There's-
writing letters.
They can execute
Yeah.
a warrant, which is what an unpaid traffic ticket is. They can certainly execute on that and get their $35. They're not allowed to go out and collect the actual fine money and acquire a percentage of that as a private collector. They get $35 for bringing somebody in on an unpaid traffic fine.
And like, again, that's, like I said, again, that would help out tremendously. If we got close to $1 million sitting on the table out there, that's pretty substantial.
The typical private collector success rate is gonna be in the 20 to 30%,
Right.
just to give you an idea. So, $1 million outstanding, you may be looking.
300,000.
200, 300,000.
$300,000
Right.
in potential recovery that's there.
Yeah. That may buy a fire truck.
Exactly.
I'll pay an engineering bill.
All right.
We're not in executive session.
Oh, you said it open. You did.
Buster, are we any closer to having the Southern Rock, Old Fannin Road
That's-
deal resolved?
Yes, sir. We've actually had a final inspection out there. And there were 0 comments about the roadway. 0.
Hey, can you turn that thing on and so we can hear you?
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Why you turn it off every time?
I didn't turn it off. It was turned off by people around me, but not by me, sir. Yes, sir. We've had the final inspection and there were 0 comments other than it was a nice job.
Well, what does that mean?
That means we've had a final inspection.
Well, where are we at on the?
Where we at on
We're
the-
not, and we're not to the end point yet because of the disagreement on some time issues and so forth, dealing with MDOT. Now, MDOT had assured us that they were gonna come back with their opinion within the next few days. Now, this was last week, we had that final inspection, we ain't got anything from them yet.
Are we talking about the money that's owed for months,
Yeah.
not additional monies?
No, this is talking about because there were some time issues, there was some potential liquidated damages involved. And, this is, I think I mentioned to you guys one time before, MDOT said, okay, whatever your engineer says, we'll go with. Well, we said it and they didn't go with it. Their response was, we should not have told y'all that to start with. What's MDOT? Or not.
Yeah, we're recording.
Anyway, it's a we're in a paper situation right now. Construction, everything, they okay, nobody's dissatisfied and so forth, as far as I know. And then we're waiting on MDOT again to come back and give their opinion of any additional days that are needed or any days that they need to be charged liquidated damages. That's the whole thing.
So I know that they came back and wanted additional information. He submitted that, and 2 weeks ago,
Yeah.
you said give them 2 weeks to get back with us and let us know what their finding is. So you're saying they have reported back and they have some issues still?
They have not reported back on that.
Okay.
We got the information, we forwarded it to MDOT, and that's when I told Mr. Bishop, they want a couple of weeks, so that's fine. We've not heard back on that, but they said, yes, we can go ahead and have the final inspection, because we don't have a problem with the roadway or construction or anything else. It's just a matter of the time on the contract, and whether MDOT feels like there's time where liquidated damages needs to be charged, or if they say, no, we're okay time-wise, which they're not gonna do. But, we're just waiting on that, and they had indicated to us that they would get back to us with their opinion on all that within a few days.
So how do we do final closeout documents with that still
We
outstanding?
can't, we got to have that to close it out and make the final payment to Edmund and all that
Gotcha.
good stuff.
That's really the only piece of the puzzle left.
Yes, sir.
Well, actually, I thought that there was even gonna be additional time and materials at the end that were gonna be added on.
Well, in any contract like that, you'll have some things where additional time and money can be added to the contract.
Yeah.
And you end up, when you go to final the job, you weigh that part against the other part, which would be a deduct for damages like, if we had a week of pretty weather and no work was being done, and you charge the contractor those days, and then he gets to the end and this is just an example, and he runs out of time, then that can become an issue.
Right.
Because we say, yeah, you could have been out here working, so forth and so on. Well, he had something else he had needed to do. But the end result, it ends up coming out of the contractor's pocket if it's not resolved.
But do we
What
have,
about quantities? Isn't there supposed to be some more quantities that we're gonna be
Yes, there are quantity adjustments at the end of all these jobs. You know, we take any ads that we have or any deducts that we have, and as a general rule, you have more ads than you do deducts. The only thing I know out there at this time needs to be done is one driveway. I can't even call it now, it's an owl agency, I believe, out there, that they're saying that a truck that comes in there occasionally is dragging on the driveway. Similar to that situation we had at the church. Well, we said something to Edmund about it, or Edmund's people, and they said, oh yeah, we'll take care of that, but we're not gonna touch it until this issue with MDOT's resolved.
Okay.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't all this start because he was basically shut down, waiting on utility relocation? And that's where he came up with his tabulation?
That enters into it. That's one, excuse me, one of the reasons it's a little bit sticky. You know, because you had Delta constructors out there doing utility work
For the city of
for the city
Flowood.
of Flowood. And then Edmund was trying to work on the roadway, and there were conflicts there. And it was a messy project. It's a wonder that I survived it.
And
You know, I could have just keeled over and it did.
I don't think Delta's been paid either, have
no, I don't think they have.
That's all
last-
involved in this.
Because they're a sub under.
Yeah.
Yeah, Delta
exactly.
and Southern Rock, right.
Mhm. That's all, it's all tied together. But we're moving in the direction of settlement. I cannot tell you when we're gonna be there, because it's not in my hands.
Would it behoove, and I know you've been working it, would it behoove you to talk to the commissioner to see if he can maybe prod just a little bit?
We've had some discussions. That's a situation where you have to be real careful,
Mm-hmm.
because, and I've explained this to some of you before, the people that we deal with on a day-to-day basis on projects,
Right.
if you jump and go up here over their head, that doesn't sit real good.
I understand, but this has been going on for several.
Yes, sir. And we have,
several-
I mean, we've had meetings with Commissioner Hall
Right.
about it. And,
I think you said you gave them all the documentation at the end of last month, or close to the end of last month, so they've had it,
Oh, a
2
month's
weeks.
not very long.
they've had it 2
Leave it
weeks. So,
and they've had,
What?
to their credit, they've had some
Somewhere.
personnel changes at MDOT in Newton. The guy that really was so active in this thing at one time no longer
That's
there.
nothing. Yeah, I don't know what to do with that one.
So there are a lot of little intricacies to it.
We're looking at 18 months, huh?
Another 18 months. Oh, man.
Your typical answer, 18 months.
Yeah, give or take. Yeah.
Okay.
No, it's by the end of the year.
By the end of the
By the
year.
end of the year, that's another
According to
one.
which year,
Yeah.
right,
Just don't know which year.
right.
Yeah, y'all have figured me out. That's changed my scheme.
Change channels.
Yeah. But that's about all I can tell you on Old Fannin.
Okay.
Any other historical stuff that we could bring up?
1:15, 1:30,
1:30.
motion to recess to 1:30.
Second.
Okay, motion recess to 1:30 by Mr. Bishop, second Mr. Wilcox. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Yeah,